Citizens should speak from the podium, address all comments to the dais, begin by stating their name and address or single member district, and limit their remarks to less than 3 minutes. Do we have any general public comment?
We do not.
Okay. Next would be the consent agenda. Oh, closed public comment, I'm sorry. The commission may request for a consent agenda item to be moved to the regular agenda for presentation and public comment. Otherwise, the consent agenda will be considered in one vote. All items on the consent agenda have been recommended and approved by staff with no opposition received to date. Since some items on the consent agenda may require a public hearing, the commission will accept public comment on any item on the consent agenda in one public hearing. Looks like we have meeting minutes from February's meeting and an FP 2602 Hagglestein edition, section 2. And I think we're going to pull the meeting minutes from February.
Yep.
So it looks like it's just the Hagglestein edition. Does anybody have do we have any public comment on it?
Russell Gully, if he would like to, but otherwise, no.
Okay. I'll have to read the whole thing even if it's consent? Okay, sorry. The FP 2602 Hagglestein edition, section 2, SMD number 2, a final plat requesting approval to subdivide 4 acres of land for the development of single-family residential zoning along Great Creek Road and West 34th Street. Do we have any motions to approve, deny the consent agenda?
Russell's not going to speak.
No.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All members say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, next we have the regular agenda. The first item on the agenda, we're actually going to read 2. So we'll read both of them together, and then we'll have 2 different motions. So we're going to read FP 26-01 Windmill Edition, Section 2, SMD number 4, a request for approval of a final plat creating 3 lots over 5.384 acres within the light manufacturing zoning district, as well as a variance request to not construct a currently unimproved portion of street right-of-way. That's going to go along with B1, which is going to be case number Z26021297-1309 North Bryant Boulevard, SMD number 4, a request for approval of a zone change from light manufacturing to general commercial for 13 tracts over 4.971 acres, generally located around 1297 through 1309 North Bryant Boulevard.
Thank y'all. Austin Reed, Senior Planner. This is a final plat creating 3 lots over about 5.3 acres. This is within District Number 4, Patrick Keeley's district. This is the Blackshear neighborhood as well. The current zoning is ML, but as you stated, we'll have a request right after this for general commercial here. The vision plan is commercial. So here's a look at the plat itself. These 3 lots range in size from 0.7 to a little over 2 acres, and we've got some easements going through the property for utilities. Here's a look at the zoning and the vision plan. On the left-hand side here, you can see that the zoning is mostly light manufacturing, and then the vision for this block is mostly commercial as well. Look at the thoroughfare. This is a photo on West 11th facing towards North Bryant. North Bryant is under TxDOT control, and it does meet our standards. West 11th is a local road. Currently it's paved at about 35 feet wide with 44 to 62 feet of right-of-way. That does meet our standards. And then West 13th is a local road that is currently unbuilt. I will show you just in a second where this is. It has 60 feet of right-of-way, and they are required to bring it up to 26 feet of paving, but they have requested a variance for it. So this up here, this is going to work, is, maybe. It is no longer working, but okay, there we go. Up there, that little portion of street right-of-way, that little rectangle is West 13th Street. And as you can see, it's freezing up on me. That's just a piece of right-of-way kind of in the middle of a block that leads to nowhere. So with that, if I can get back to our recommendation slide, we are recommending approval of the final plat. We are also recommending approval of the variance to not build that little portion of right-of-way. The 5 conditions are to construct 13th Street to 26 feet wide or receive approval of a variance, provide verification of some prior abandonments that happened on this block that they are combining together into this plat. Number 3 is for the drainage study. Number 4 is for the water and wastewater service lines to each lot. And then number 5 is to extend a sewer main where required or financial guarantee. You guys have any questions? Thank you all.
Okay, now we need to open it up for public comment. Ray, do we have any public comment on this case?
Russell Gully.
Good morning, Russell with SKG. Would ask for your approval as presented along with approval of the variance. That short little segment of West 13th Street really goes nowhere, leads nowhere. It's just this little remnant piece left of that area. So there's some residential lots to the north of it that really the ownership is in some deceased ownership, and people you can't really even find. That this property owner that was doing this had tried to locate them, was trying to get it bought, and it really led to nowhere. So we really see that being as just a dead piece of land. Maybe at some point something can shake out of it through tax sales or something, but at this point we just ask for your variance to approve the not to have to construct 13th Street, and would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment, Ray? Okay. We'd like to close public comment. Do y'all have any comments on this one or a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve item FP 2602 Hagglestein addition as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Do we have any comments?
Can I
We need to vote
clarify the
separately,
motion? We are working on FP 2601 Windmill Edition, and you had said
say
Hagglestein in your
Sorry.
motion?
We
So just to
clarify.
Sorry,
clarify.
I saw where she pointed.
I pointed, but I read above it. So I will draw that original motion, and I will make a motion to approve as presented FP 2601 Windmill Edition, Section 2.
Second. Any comment on that? Do we need to vote?
He's gonna present it.
Okay. All in favor?
If there's no comment, then we'll vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Correct. Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I guess you already read this in.
I did.
so,
I was
yeah.
waiting for you. I'm sorry.
Okay. Austin Reed, Senior Planner. This is a zone change request for the plat that we just heard. A lot of the information, of course, is going to be the same. It's still Blackshear neighborhood, District Number 4, Vision Plan of Commercial, 5.3 acres, and this is a request for a change from ML to CG. Sent out 34 notices on this. As far as I'm aware, we did not receive any responses. Here's another look at the zoning and the vision plan. Even though this is predominantly light manufacturing zoning, nothing really north of 11th Street there on that side of the block, I think, is a manufacturing type use. And then the vision plan does say that this should be commercial. On our rationale, we do think it's compatible with the surrounding area. It's located on a major thoroughfare, of course, North Bryant, and it is surrounded by a mix of commercial, manufacturing to the south, and some residential uses on that block and further to the north. We do think that this indicates a greater community need to be used as commercial, considering it never developed under light manufacturing. And there should be no effect on the natural environment either, and that plat has a drainage study on it. So with that, we are recommending approval of the zone change. Do you guys have any questions?
I do not. Thank you, Austin.
Thanks.
We need to open public comment. Ray, do you have any public comment on the rezoning?
Russell with SKG. Their plan is to put a hotel on the larger tract and then a QSR or quick serve restaurant, if they can find one kind of on the corner of 11th and Bryant there, and then possibly storage units towards the back. So this zoning is better suited for what they're proposed. Be happy to answer any questions and would ask for your approval.
Thank you,
you.
Russell. Do you have any questions for him? Okay. Any more public comment, Ray? Okay. We'll close public comment, and we'd like any comments from y'all or a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments, discussion? Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Next thing on the regular agenda is going to be case number PP 26-01 Stone Mill Preliminary Plat, SMD number 4. A request to preliminary plat 11 acres adjacent to Smith Boulevard and Gregory Street to create 65 residential lots in single-family residential RS1 zoning district. And I'm reading that with the
And-
next one.
Yeah.
next
And the
two.
next two.
Yes,
yeah.
just for fun, we're going to make you read all three of them together. And I'm going to present all three of them together, and then we'll do 3 motions.
Okay. And then we have FP 26-03, Stone Mill Section 1, SMD number 4, a request of final plat, 6.901 acres adjacent to Smith Boulevard in the single-family residential RS1 zoning district with a variance request for a dead-end street longer than the 750 feet on Brighton Court. Then we have FP 26-04, Stone Mill Section 2, SMD number 4, a request of final plat, 4.099 acres adjacent to Smith Boulevard in the single-family residential RS1 zoning district with a partial variance request for a 36-foot road width along Sophia Street.
Phew. Good morning, everybody. This is Arden, planner. As Shane so nicely stated, we're going to start out with the preliminary plat, and then we'll kind of go through both sections. We'll look at them all in context, and then we'll get 3 motions. So this in total is a request to plat about 60 residential lots over 11 acres divided up into 2 sections. This is in the Pauline neighborhood, Patrick Keeley's district. It is zoned RS1. They recently went through a zoning. The vision plan is neighborhood. And I'll speak a little bit more on it later, but there's part of a larger parcel behind it that will kind of help provide some context as we go through the plat for the intent. So I'm also including the separated areas. So that was our preliminary. They're preliminary platting the whole. There's one section, and there's the other section. So one's 6.9 acres, one's 4.099 acres. All right, so here's our preliminary plat. We've got Brighton Court up to the top. This is the one with the variance request to the length of a dead-end street. We typically require that past 750 feet, there has to be some connection back to through traffic. And we can see here they've got this temporary turnaround dedicated at the end of their plat. Down below is Sophia Drive. That is shorter, but they have a variance request to construct that at 36 feet instead of the required 40 feet for a local street. We've also got Smith Boulevard. Let's see if I have more luck with the magnifying glass. No, that's okay. Oh, well, that's all we get. Smith Boulevard is over to the right, and I'll show some photographs on that later. There's a little bit to be done there. They need some curb and gutter, but these are our 60 residential lots. I also want to note, I would zoom in on it if I could. They recently got an administrative variance to have some lot widths that are slightly shorter that front onto Sophia Drive. So those are 45-foot wide lots instead of the required 50-foot. We've also got our separate sections. So up here, there's Brighton Court with the lots that one services, and there's a temporary turnaround. And then we've got Sophia Drive down here. The zoning, as we stated, single-family residential, recently went through that rezone, neighborhood vision plan. When looking out at this thoroughfare, we've got Smith Boulevard. That's our major collector out to the right. That one meets standard but doesn't have curb and gutter on it, so we're going to require that curb and gutter be constructed. Then we've got Sophia Drive. That one's shown in section 2 down below. That one will have the 40-foot paving, 60-foot right-of-way, and they have the variance request to build at 36 feet. And then on Brighton Court, that's the 40-foot paving, 60-foot right-of-way, and they're requesting to not connect it to through traffic. So when looking at these, let me go back. I'll stay on the preliminary plat. When looking at these, the applicant's intent is to involve that larger parcel around there. So they own all of this, and the intent is to build out a larger subdivision in phases. And so whenever staff was considering these variance requests, we felt it made sense to allow for a temporary turnaround with a dead-end street longer than 750 feet because we understand that the intent is to build out a subdivision with a block length of under 2,200, which is our required, as opposed to having them dedicate a north to south road and have them construct that in the interim. And then with Sophia Drive, building at a slightly smaller paving width, we understand that they are trying to service narrower lots, build a little bit more of affordable housing. Staff finds it reasonable to approve that variance. So with this, I'll go through my long list of each plat and our recommendations. So first, we've got preliminary plat. This is for all 60 lots. We recommend approval of this preliminary plat, subject to 3 conditions and a note from the fire marshal. So first, we've got drainage study, and then there's an existing plat with both Brighton Court and Sophia Drive on there. But when in communication with the applicant, we understood that the applicant is in ownership of that plat as well. So rather than just say to revise that name, we also allow it to be an option if they can amend the existing plat for the Meridian and change those names, then they can have these street names here. Just one of them needs to change. We also have the note from the fire department that a dead-end street of 910 feet will require some special approval, so they need to get explicit approval from that. As for section 1, we've got 7 conditions with approval for that dead-end street. So we've got drainage study, we've got wastewater service lines, water main, sewer main. They need a fire hydrant access statement on their plat. They need to rename Brighton Court, and they need to construct their curb and gutter along Smith Boulevard while also receiving approval of that preliminary plat we just saw. For the second section, we have another 7 conditions. We've got same drainage study, water and sewer service lines, water and sewer mains, fire hydrant access statement, and then very similarly, they need to rename Sophia Drive or vacate or amend the Meridian plat. They need to construct their incremental half, their curb and gutter along Smith Boulevard, and receive approval of that preliminary plat. So I think maybe I'll go back to the first one. We can proceed like this, and I'll click through it. Do you guys have questions for me on any of these 3?
I have one. In looking at some of this earlier, my question was the turnaround. I think it's Brighton, as they've named it now. Can you explain that a little bit more about the 750 feet and the 1,000 and what that does
Sure.
with fire?
I can try to do my part to explain what it does for fire,
Okay.
but I must admit, I'm not out there on the lines. What I see here, this is a street that's 900 feet, and we have a clause in the ordinance that we don't want a street to be longer than 750 feet due to that specific way that we can only access these streets by driving 1,700 feet to get to the back of them. So we want that to connect to through traffic, so that way we have some kind of turnaround. And so when we look at this, we want to see if you are driving down to this final lot up at the top left corner, which I'd love to magnify for you guys, but we want that this person, instead of having their only option for egress being to drive out Brighton Court 900 feet, that they also have this ability to go down through Sophia Drive. But again, when looking at this, we feel that the intent is to build out the subdivision and to include some different uses. And so staff feels comfortable recommending approval of that variance.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I'd like to open it up for public comment.
Russell with SKG. So the ultimate big picture is to develop this, continue this residential development going west, and about 100 feet west of kind of the westerly end of these 2 plats, we have a north-south street planned that would kind of lead further back south towards the loop 306 there. So ultimately, this, I guess what would be section 3 would loop these roads together. So this is kind of a temporary condition with these temporary cul-de-sacs. The ordinance is very clear about permanent cul-de-sacs not being over 750 feet. So these aren't permanent. These are kind of the temporary until the future development will occur, and then ultimately loop Sophia and Brighton together. So this is just kind of that step process of development is going to occur there. So, and I guess Brighton and Sophia, developers and wanting to name streets after their granddaughters, so it's the same one. I guess they're looking to kind of move their focus from the Meridian, which is kind of in southwest San Angelo, over to to this location. So I guess they wanted to bring these street names over here and get their daughters' names on the map sooner for some reason. So we'll work through the minutia of that with the city and the developer on the street names. On our paving width request, we're asking for the 36 feet width on both streets. I don't know if we were clear maybe in our application or even how I saw it on one of them, but we would like to have the request a 36-foot paving width with curb and gutter on both streets. That, based on some conversations we've been having with the city engineer and staff about amending the land development ordinance and street widths. It seems like we're looking at some narrower streets. So in lieu of the developer sitting and waiting for that to happen, they wanted to move forward and try to get this development going. So they're like, hey, can we request the variance? So here we are asking for the variance for a 36-foot pavement width for both Section 1 and Section 2. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Just to clarify, Russell, those cul-de-sac turnarounds are temporary, but they will still be paved and all of those things now, correct?
Yes, the land development ordinance is clear on how they're paved out, so yes.
Right, okay. Temporary built is permanent.
Yes.
Gotcha. Any other questions for Russell?
Thank you very much.
Do you have any other public comment, Ray? Okay. Can we, I guess I have a question for staff. Because they're asking for that 36-foot variance on, I guess it's,
03.
yeah, on Brighton. I was trying to find the street name. Can we do that now, or do they have to go back later to change that since it's not written in?
So, yes, I just consulted with legal and said that y'all can make that recommendation.
Okay.
Usually, if it's something that we have to send the public notice out, like a zoning, we wouldn't be able to consider it, but in the subdivision ordinance, it's different. We're able to consider those types of development processes here, so you could make that recommendation.
Okay.
I do also echo Mr. Gully's statement that, yes, the city staff have been considering narrower streets. While that has not gone through the full process in front of Planning Commission, City Council, we know that the cost of development, streets are one item that the city can potentially, if we have narrower streets, then that's a lower cost per lot that you sink into the lot. So that's something to certainly consider.
Okay. And they have to build sidewalks too, correct, Aaron, or no?
I believe they're requesting, and maybe Mr. Gully may come up and confirm, but I believe they do not want to do sidewalks. Is that right, Arden?
That is correct. The request is, so the way the ordinance reads is 40 foot or 36 feet with a sidewalk. So what they are requesting is, instead of the 40 feet required for no sidewalk, to shrink that number to 36 feet.
Because the lots are lower or smaller.
That is part of their rationale.
Okay. Okay, no more public comment, Ray? Okay, I'm going to close public comment. Do y'all have any questions, comments on any of these three? And then I think we need to do three separate motions.
Well, if I understand this right, PF 2603 is the one that doesn't have the 36-foot paving width written in. Is that correct?
Yes, that is absolutely correct. So
Okay.
section 1, FP 26-03 is the one where he has come and requested the variance for the 36-foot paving width. And then section 2 on the next page is the one where that's already written in.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
for Sophia Drive.
So our motion needs to include that because of the request. Okay. Then I'll make a motion on PF 2603, Stone Mill Section 1, Single Member District 4, with the addition of 36-foot paving width and no sidewalk.
I think we need to
Do
do
we
the
need to
first
do them
one
in order?
first. We have
Oh,
to
I
do them
thought
in
it was
order.
the first.
Because
No,
this
it's
one,
number-
The preliminary needs to be
okay,
first.
I see.
So I would make a
The
motion to
preliminary,
approve that
okay.
PP 2601
And
Stone
I'll
Mill
second
preliminary
that.
plat. Okay, we have a first and a second. Any comment? Okay, if there's no comment, and I say favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
And then the motion that I made then on 03, PF 2603, to include 36 feet paving width and no sidewalks.
Okay, so we have a motion. I'd second that. A motion and a second. Any comment? If no comment, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. That's with the 36 feet variance there.
I'll make a motion for item number, or the third part of the item, to approve as presented.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Okay. Now we're going to go into the second part here of the regular agenda, rezonings and comprehensive plan amendments. City Council has final authority for approval of rezonings and amendments to the comprehensive plan. We have already voted on the Z2602 1297 through 1309 North Bryant. So it'd be the second item. I have Z26-03 620 East 43rd Street, SMD number 2, a request for approval of a zone change from single-family residential RS1 to low-rise multifamily residential RM1 for 6 lots located at and to the east of 620 East 43rd Street. Right.
Good morning, Ray Lineberry, lead planner. So this is a rezoning request at 620 East 43rd Street. It is 1.379 acres. They are requesting to rezone from single-family to low-rise multifamily. They're in District 2, Joseph, in the Lakeview neighborhood. So on the right is the current zoning. It is all RS1 single-family. On the left is the vision plan, which is all neighborhood. We did mail out 29 notices. We did receive one in opposition over the weekend that I printed out and handed out. So I did want to clarify. So right now, the lot is currently platted as 6 different lots. So they want to encompass all of those. With their plan of doing either quadruplexes or townhomes, depending on what they do, they may need to replat, but it is currently broken up like that. And then the other picture is a site picture. So staff's rationale, it is compatible with the area because multifamily residential is still residential. The vision plan is neighborhood. RM1 will allow for different types of residential, and with it being so close to Lakeview High School, and it is an infill property, so it will help with allowing different types of residential. The latest housing study, the 2025 housing study, does list different types of housing as a need. So with that, staff is recommending approval. Any questions?
Do you have any questions for Ray?
Okay.
Okay. So we'd like to open public comment.
And Joseph?
Yes. Could you pull up the image showing, yes, that one right there. This one? Yes, that'll work. Thank you.
And please state your name and address or single member district.
I will. Thank you. Give me a moment, please. My name is Ann Joseph. I am a member, I reside on the block in question, single member District 2. I've been a resident of San Angelo since '87. I have lived on that block since 2011. I recently put over $30,000 into my home and surrounding structures, new roofing. I did that with the expectation that city says this is a single-family housing block. This is my home. 30,000 plus is a lot of shekels to put into something when, before you know it, you're going to have who? You don't have individuals coming into that block who are investing their money and their livelihood into something they own or that they have signed a lease on. Everyone else along 44th and along Bowie, 4304, and then where I reside, 4314. We've been there as homeowners. It is unacceptable, in my opinion, for people in good faith to move into an area in San Angelo expecting this is a single-family home neighborhood, and then voila, all of a sudden, bing, next thing you know, what is going on? Now, if folks want to accommodate increased need, I see major unimproved blocks to the east. I would propose that the city or the developer, whoever's looking at their dollar bottom line buck, that they look at those, that they not degrade the quality of the block that all of us have been living on and have invested our homes in. Now, a couple of things that I wanted to point out. Since I've been there since 2011, right here, there's a sewage access port. I don't know what else to call it. And right there is another one. Here at the intersection of Bowie and 43rd, and here at the intersection of Bowie and 44th. I can tell you that there have been at least 3 times where the city or a contractor was called in to clear this sewage line. And the stench that filled the air because of the issue, it was remedied, all's good. But I put to you, how is that sewage line going to be able to handle increased sewage from this block that would feed down into it, because that goes downhill? Now, I think there's an issue with that sewage line because there's this drainage port going into the area where we have water accumulating during major flooding or rains. Also, I'd like to point out—
Go ahead and finish your thought real quick, Ms.
Thank you. Talking about Lakeview High School, I can tell you right now that prior to school and after school, there is such an increase of traffic along Bowie and then along 42nd. Now, the bus stop is down here. Will these multifamily people have parking spots, or are they going to be walking and using our, it's a skeleton transportation system. If I work on the south side of town, it's going to take me 2 hours to get there. So that's another thing. It's not safe. There are no sidewalks.
Thank you, Ms. Ann. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ray?
Jeremy Service?
Yes, Severe.
Severe.
Good morning, my name is Jeremy Severe. I live on 617 East 44th Street. I've been there about 8-9 years. We had our home built there. When we first moved there, it was quiet, it's privacy. I understand the development and the things that are going through, but my main concerns are privacy and safety. The last year and several months, about last year and 3 months, a neighbor across from me, she passed away. Several squatters moved into 2 lots. They moved in 3 RVs or trailers, whatever you want to call them. From that point on, that neighborhood became very insecurely safe. I had multiple police reports, multiple physical altercations with people there. If you build this apartment, I'm sorry, this is a little frustrating. If you get this apartment complex, my concern is if you can't keep us safe from a lot that had 3 RVs there, how are y'all gonna keep us safe with an apartment complex that have multiple families? My thing is, I have children. Everybody almost on our street has children, small children. And when these people were there, the police, you can look this up, it's all public information. I had to speak to Joe Self to get this matter taken care of. He sent me to Rudy, which was, not gonna speak on that, but Joe was very, very formative and very, very helpful to help me with this. We actually had to start a neighborhood group chat because of the lack of help that we were able to get in that neighborhood. When they first moved in, several houses were being broken into, police officers showed up, nobody saw anything, can't do anything. So we started a neighborhood group chat. All of us in that neighborhood, including her, all started a group chat to keep the family safe. Literally every day, somebody in the group chat was saying something's going on, something's going on. They finally understood what was going on. They kind of kept it to themselves, and instead of doing that, and the city going over there to force code enforcement, they actually put more lots, or more RVs and more trailer homes on this property. When I finally spoke to Joe Self, he's the one that finally got the ball moving to get these people out. But after that, it took almost 2 or 3 months. So I was there a year and some months with these families there, or these people there, which was no bigger than that, it was a small portion of that apartment. But the thing is if you can't keep us safe from these small amounts of people coming into the neighborhood, how are you gonna keep us safe with these people coming to these apartments? I came listening to her, which I'm glad I came, but the lack of safety and the lack of infrastructure to improve safety in that neighborhood is slim to none. We had multiple, I say 40, 50 police reports, and these are all documented, that talk about what was going on in that neighborhood. And we as neighbors had to safety ourselves through these chats and through these neighborhood watches that we created. I had spoke to everybody on my side of the neighborhood. A few of them have work, they cannot come. They said that we were sending a reply in via email or via this. But my main thing is concern and safety for the neighborhood and privacy. And when I first got the letter to see about, the redistricting zone and read all that, I went over there and I drove down the street on 43rd and Bonham, and the sign was knocked over. So, I mean, I don't know the wind or something, but if this is something that's gonna affect our neighborhood, I feel like it should be more advertised instead of just that one little bitty corner with a sign knocked over. Maybe both corners, maybe, it just doesn't look right. But thank you, and like I said, my main thing is privacy and concern and safety for small children in the neighborhood that we all have.
I do have a question for you, sir. When you said the RVs, mobile homes, or whatever they were in the neighborhood, were they on this lot that's in red?
So the one across the street is, I believe it's 622. So
Okay.
it's 2 lots. It's one lot right here, and it's another lot where it has a home. She passed away in that home. When she passed away, squatters moved in. They put a trailer home in the back by the alley. They put another trailer home in the middle on the same lot, and they moved another one in the middle of the street, right down the street. I had to call the police officers several times, which one came out, said that somebody already called and they tagged it. They did not tag it. I had to call him back again, and they went out there, and I walked out there, and I physically saw him tag it. 3 days later, I had to call them to come back to get the RV out. With the help of Joe Self, which I'm extremely grateful for that man. He's a very good man, and I told him he will have my vote again, and him helping me in this matter. So he recommended that I call Rudy, which I'd already been calling him for months, which I know y'all know who Rudy is. I don't have anything good to say about him. Joe Self helped me get this through to him. He helped him push all this, but when he did all that, even the lady that they sent over there for code enforcement was worried to go into that little spot because she said it was unsafe. And if she gets paid to do that, I live across the street with a 12-year-old child. The neighbor lives across the street with several small children in elementary, and we all have other children in this neighborhood. If you can't keep those kids safe, building this apartment complex, you don't know who's gonna go in there. You don't know who's gonna be in and out of there. Those apartment complexes, like she stated earlier, we're investing money into our homes. I just got the home built about 7, 8, 9 years ago. The one next to us was built a little bit before that. And since I've been there, I put a metal fence around my yard. She's put a lot of money in her home. We maintain our properties. But the biggest thing I say is there's nobody out there to help us in safety. There's nobody. The younger police officers that I spoke to that came and talked to me, they were the ones that helped me more than anything. They're the ones that directed me to go to code enforcement. But it was literally like the Wild West out there. I mean, there's nobody taking care of us. People's houses are getting broken into, and we have to start up a group chat to keep ourselves safe, and I just think that if you're gonna do something like that, I think infrastructure needs to be more important before doing anything of that.
Thank
And
you,
I
sir.
appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Any other public comment?
The applicants, Michael and Samantha?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Michael Yoakum. I'm the one that came up with the idea of trying to develop it.
I'm not really sure what that has to do with us on the 44th Street, or the 43rd.
Could you speak up, please?
I'm sorry. I'm not really sure what that has to do with us with the RVs. I would assume more eyes, more with the duplex. With more eyes around, we'd have less people coming over to try to break in. And the plan is to develop this lot and hopefully getting our neighbors, our neighboring lots on whoever owns these to start developing as well. So that way we stop having more people try to break into these abandoned homes or rental properties that are along Bowie. As far as the school district with the kids or it being unsafe to walk, those kids walk them streets every day and the city hasn't done anything about it, which I'm not pressing against, but I would assume it's going to be safer to develop these lots to stop these children from actually skipping school, breaking into the abandoned vehicles that are on this property that is mine, just misbehaving. I would think it'd be.
Okay.
I just think it'd be great for the neighborhood to increase more people in this area and develop this area more than just leaving where it's at.
And we also
See-
plan on putting in curbs and doing.
Can you-
Oh, my name is Samantha Brooks, I'm sorry.
Okay, and please speak in the microphone.
Okay, I mean, we plan on doing everything by code, adding curbs, there will be parking spaces for the duplexes. We're not, I guess you wouldn't call it apartments, they're just going to be duplex homes. And we're not gonna third-party it out, like, oh, these people will, I can't be in charge of it, maintenance, you know, we're going to be in charge of it. Like he said, you know, the kids from Lakeview, they always come to our lot, because we have such a big lot, and they skip school, they break into the vehicles, and if there's homes there, I don't see them being brave enough to break into a home or, you know, any of that. And we know that we have to bring utilities up to this lot. You know, we've already been talking to a few engineers about all that and trying to get it planned. We have a, I don't know what that's called, a diagram, a layout of what we want to do for this, for the duplexes.
Could you speak more about the duplexes? Are they going to be separated and parking in front of them, behind them?
Yes.
And how many of them?
Yes, the parking will be in the front. It'll basically be a 6-bedroom, 4-bath. So you'd have 3-bedroom on one side, 2-bath on each side. Parking would be in the front of it.
I know that we may have to get it replatted because I've been speaking with Ray and she was saying that because it is in 6 separate, what is that, lots? I'm sorry, I do the paperwork and he's like the brain, you know? So I know that we most likely will get it replatted into one. This way it kind of gives us a little more room and stuff to figure out how to do the layout. This is my family home. I've lived in it. My sister was born, I think because I have 4 siblings. She was born in 96, and we've lived in this home since then. I've moved away and then came back in 2011 when my dad passed away. So this is my childhood home. But at the way everything is right now, I think this is the best option. And hopefully, like he said, we bring in new, because everything's going to be brand new. We bring in everything new, and maybe the people with the lots across the way, they will, you know, try to jump into and build duplexes.
Are you keeping the structures in that, what looks like?
My home, honestly, we probably will not. We're just going to, because we have 2 other homes. We own the home right there on the corner of Bowie and 43rd, the 4300, and we will most likely just knock it all down and make it fresh and nice.
It'd be best just to build a clean slate, knock it down, build the duplexes there. It's great for any single family or a single mom or for a family because all the schools are there. I've heard that there's possibly a daycare coming. You have the elementary school, you have Lincoln, you have Lakeview. Families won't have to move around or drive very far to go to schools.
I guess I have a question. So we're talking about rezoning at RM1, and that's a whole nother story because right now it's a, you know, quote unquote catch-all. You can really do lots of different things there. Are y'all the one that requested RM1, or is staff the one that requested RM1 if y'all are wanting to do duplexes?
I'm wanting to do the duplexes that are there, or possibly even the multiplexes. Just depends on when I get with an engineer or builder to see what best lays out for this block.
Right, okay.
So you're,
So,
go ahead, sorry.
I was, so did y'all say, hey, we want to build duplexes, and city staff said, okay, you need RM1? Or did y'all not really state that, and you were kind of a little open-ended, and we're trying to, figure out what works?
To be honest with you, I do not remember that. I just know that I want it.
I believe I spoke with Ray and we were kind of open-ended. We
Okay,
were like,
okay.
okay, we want to do this, but we could possibly do this. And she recommended, okay, if that's how you are, because we're not for sure, then she recommended we do this.
And I guess just to clearly state, I know that some of the neighbors and stuff have mentioned apartments, and that is fully allowed here in RM1. And this is just your word, but y'all have no plans of building an apartment complex or doing that sort of thing? You want
No.
to keep it with duplexes, maybe a triplex, something like
Yes,
that, but.
no
okay.
apartments.
Correct.
Gotcha.
My question is how big are those lots? If you're talking about a duplex and 6 bedrooms, I mean, I'm just thinking the building setback and.
I believe
to put
each lot-
6 duplexes right there.
I believe each lot is 50 by 100, so if you were to combine 2 of them, that'd be 100 by 200.
Are they 50 by 100 or 50 by 140?
Ray, what's the total size of the area?
It was 1.379.
So they're working with over an acre of land. Now, more than likely, depending on their structure size, that's why the recommendation is to replat, to remove those lot lines, and it's one lot under one ownership. Then they would have different ways to place structures on the lot.
And just,
Which was another reason for the RM1 suggestion is depending on what can fit, if they can do triplexes, duplexes.
and just add in there, I believe it's 60,016 square feet is what we've plotted.
Have y'all already had a pre-development meeting with the city to talk about infrastructure and that kind of thing, or not yet?
No, sir. This is our first time
This
ever
is
doing
our
anything.
first step.
It is scheduled for 3 weeks from today, or 2 weeks
Yes.
from today.
I think it's March 16th, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions for them? Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Any other public comment, Ray? Okay. No more public comment. I'll close public comment. And open it up for comments or a motion.
I guess my thoughts are, I don't necessarily have a problem with duplexes being built. I think just looking at the pictures that are there, that might actually, new structures might actually bring value to that area. But I do have a concern about kind of what you said, Lyndon. I mean, RM1 leaves it pretty open. How many different structures can you fit on these small, tiny lots? Duplexes are one thing, but triplex apartments, to me, that's a completely different situation.
I like the duplex idea. I think that could work really well in this area, especially being new. And you're talking about, as she said, taking what's there and removing it so that the land is clear to do the duplexes. I too don't think apartments would be appropriate for being right there in the middle of. So is there any way that we can make any comments about RM1 with the size of the lot being just barely over 1 1/4 acre?
So I do believe that since this goes to city council for final approval, you guys can recommend, like RS2 is a lesser residential that does allow duplexes, but it only allows duplexes.
You could also build a normal single-family house there,
Correct.
correct? Okay. But it wouldn't allow townhomes, zero lot lines, condos,
Correct.
any of
Right.
that sort of thing. Yeah.
The other option would be potentially requesting to table it for 30 days. I also think maybe a planned development, since it is over 1 acre, because then that's when you can actually put some conditions on a zoning, where straight zoning, you cannot condition it in any way. And if they wanted to do multiple structure types, if they had some duplexes and they had a triplex or quadruplex here and there, that's really the better way to mix those uses, because that's mixed uses, where RM1, while you can have different structure types, this would allow you to put any kind of conditions that you think would be appropriate to have separation between the RS1 districts. I do believe that for over 6 years now, our Res Intel study has told us we need this type of development, and we need small developers like this local couple to do these things. But we keep getting a little bit of hesitation, knowing that it's a little scary because it's unknown to us as a community. I do believe that in this neighborhood, it is a good, thriving neighborhood, and it has a lot of potential to continue to be a good, thriving neighborhood. As they mentioned, it's close to a lot of amenities for education, and so it does need some other amenities in that neighborhood to continue to keep it to thrive as a growing neighborhood. So I think if that's something y'all are interested in, I think if they have a pre-development meeting in 3 weeks, we might be able to narrow down what a site plan might be able and bring something back. I know that is a 30-day delay for them, but I think that is something that we could, if you're interested in that and saying, all right, what are the real specifics of this, we'd be happy to look at that as city staff.
And for the PD, for the public, Aaron, it would go before the same process, right? They could still comment again. Now that we're in communication and talking, the neighbors can reach out to the applicant. Y'all can be in open communication to figure out what works to make both financial sense and to keep the people safe.
That is correct. It'll go through the same public hearing again for here at the Planning Commission and then twice at City Council. It does give opportunity for the applicant to kind of knock on doors and say, here's what we really are trying to do here on this piece of property.
And if we were to table that, does that cost the applicant to change it to a PD or anything like that?
It does not. We would keep the same fee and same process moving forward.
Okay.
I do have a question. Are these duplex or potential duplexes going to be rentals, or will people be purchasing them for ownership?
Do y'all want to come up here and answer that? Because I have another question as well.
Because I didn't understand it either.
It would be rentals.
Rentals.
Yes, ma'am.
I do understand the concern of the homeowners around there, and I do agree, like, there are some empty lots without residents around them where something like that potentially might work better. I just look from a perspective, like, if that was my home, how I would feel.
Well, the goal is to start upgrading our neighborhood. They talk about the neighborhood being safe. It's not safe. And as far as this group that they're in, I've lived there most of my life, and I'm not in this group. I've actually helped this lady before to abandon this alley here, which I'm not going to go too in-depth with that, because the plan was to abandon the entire alley, which was deceitful later on. It was only just a partial, which I'd like for her to speak on if she would like. All these houses that are going down Bowie are rental houses. That most of them are trashed rental houses. That's why they're abandoned, because that homeowner does not choose to upgrade them houses. They are in the floodplain. They have been flooded. His idea is just to get the insurance off it and leave it the way it is and start renting it back out. If you were to go look at these police reports that they're talking about, my name is going to be on most of them. I'm the one that is helping to get that squatter out of that house. Yeah. And then as far as I know we're going backwards. The trailer homes up there, that has nothing to do with me. I would like to just start developing this area. It is a great area to develop. It is out of the water plane. When we had that flash flood come through here, from the 620 in the middle of that plot to the right, none of that went underwater. So it's perfect for homes, for families to come into, to be able to have walking distance if they'd like their children to be able to walk to school, walk home, which I know elementary wouldn't do. But as far as the Lincoln, I have 4 kids. My kids have all walked home from there. I've even kind of let them walk from Goliad. I've never had an issue with any of that.
I have one question for y'all. You said that you currently reside in the lot right next to it. Is that where you?
Yes.
Okay.
The 4302?
We own that one, or he does rental properties.
I have 4302 and 620.
No, 4300. He has 4300 Bowie, and then we have 620. Wow.
But you guys reside there?
Yes.
Yes.
And then we have a family friend that resides in the home next to me.
Okay. Would y'all be opposed to us tabling after, so that way you can have your development meeting with the city and things like that?
I'm not sure what that is. My first time.
So if we tabled, that would essentially mean we're not going to vote yes or no. We're going to let you go to the city, have the pre-development meeting, decide if you want to stick with this RM1 or if you would like to change it to RS2, if you would like to do a PD. PD is a planned development. So essentially, you'll work with the city, you'll say, this is exactly what we're going to do. Kind of like Aaron said, you know, we can put a little bit more restrictions on what you can and can't do. There can be a few more structure types and just different avenues that are not just generally allowed without a more in-depth.
Yeah, we can do that, so that way it ensures that we're not going to just build apartments, you know, on that property.
Is there apartment listed on this paperwork somewhere, or?
Is there what now?
The RM1, I believe they're saying that RM1 makes it open-ended, that
Correct.
you can do apartments.
And we
Oh,
can't
that's
put restrictions on that, so if it were just approved to be RM1, you could do anything that's legally allowed in RM1, and there's nothing that we can say after that's done. So that's kind of, I think, the neighbor's concern is, you know, once, you know, if we were to vote yes, and then it goes before city council and everything gets approved, it's a done deal. You can build a 2.5-story, I think there's what, 30 units per acre, so you could build a 30-unit apartment complex if this is approved, and I think that's what they're worried about.
Oh, yeah, no, that wouldn't make sense to be put there.
Yeah, that doesn't.
But okay, thank y'all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
If you,
I know that we do have some folks in the audience that want to continue the discussion, but if you want to open up public comment, I would urge that you keep it on the rezoning and not about RVs or enforcement or any of those types of things. It should be about the rezoning and the impacts of the rezoning of this property. Thank you.
okay, I think we can open it up if y'all will make it quick and stick to that. So, Ann, go ahead.
One of his statements seemed to not be as clear as I thought would be relevant. He spoke of properties that had been flooded and were rentals. Those are the properties right here that abut the drainage area, and they were...
I'm not sure this has anything to do with the rezoning at this time. How does that, I mean, Vice Chair, I'm not sure if that it does.
I don't
I'm
think
sorry,
so.
I wanted to clarify his question, his statement, which pertains somehow to the rezoning, that he even made it. Be that as it may, I wanted to make sure that folks understood when he said the houses along Bowie are rentals. They are from about this point on. The house on that corner, the next one, and that one are all owned. And then these others have been recently sold. My neighbor said that these have been condemned because of the flooding. So I bring it up because the gentleman brought it up. I wanted to clarify that so that folks here would not be thinking that the houses on Bowie here had been flooded. And that was my main issue.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll close public comment. And open it up for questions or a motion.
I honestly think we need to table this.
I agree.
I think with a lot of the opposition, I think it would give a chance for them to have the city meeting to figure out what they want to do. I think rezoning it this way is broad on,
I like the idea of denser housing. I like the idea of duplexes or even maybe some condos or something of the sort. You know, they have a lot of work to do with infrastructure and everything regardless, so there's gonna have to be a lot of talks with the city. But I would make a motion to table it for 30 days. Let's revisit next meeting, see if they have, you know, figured out things, if they've talked to the neighbors, and then if we have to table again, then I guess we could look at it then.
and I will second that.
And
Okay.
my comment would be, I think they're on the right track. They don't seem to want apartments, which I think in this particular place would not be as appropriate. So I'm for the tabling so that they can bring more in focus what exactly their goals are going to be. And so I like that, so.
So we have a first from me, a second from Lyndon. Any other comment on it? Okay, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion is tabled for 30 days, I guess until the next planning meeting. Okay, next thing on the regular agenda is conditional uses. The planning commission has final authority for approval of conditional uses. Appeals may be directed to the city council. We have case number CU 26-01, 2502 West Loop 306, SMD number 3, a request for approval of a conditional use to allow household living on commercial property located at 2502 West Loop 306. Austin.
Thank you. Austin Reed, Senior Planner. This is a conditional use from the Vista del Arroyo neighborhood. It is District Number 5, Karen Hesse Smith. The zoning for this property is general commercial, CG, and the vision plan says it is commercial as well. What we have, as you mentioned, is a request for approval of household living on this property. Sent out notifications that should read 38. We sent about 38. Did not receive in favor. We received 11 who were opposed within the 200-foot radius, as indicated by the green circle there. And we received about 5 who were opposed from outside of that 200-foot range. The opposition cites concerns with traffic, crime, trash, noise, property values, and parking. And you should have been provided with those responses over email at the end of last week if you saw those. So here's a little bit of background information. You should also have in front of you a sheet that the applicant provided, kind of giving you an idea of what they're doing. But they're looking to turn this motel into some apartments. It's about 97 units, and the focus here is on affordability. Also on the property is Nacho's Restaurant along the frontage on the southern end of the property. It is important to note that this will require a change of occupancy, and under that change of occupancy, we do review it for compliance with fire and building code, and we also look at their parking to make sure that that's still going to work. So here's just some additional photos. This is Nacho's. This is on the eastern boundary of the property facing north. And this is on the western boundary of the property facing north. This is the zoning and the vision plan. As you can see, this is general commercial. It is surrounded by other commercial zoning. That planned development district you see is the Village East Retirement Community, and then the vision is entirely commercial. Onto our staff analysis, this is located along a freeway, and it contains an existing commercial business that is Nacho's. It is surrounded by a retirement community under a planned development district, the Village East Retirement Community, and that does have a base zoning of multifamily. The property is in close proximity to the Southwest Plaza Shopping Center off to the east there. 2 other apartment complexes that are kind of to the west and northwest on the other side of Village East, and there's also the Sitel Tower and some other existing commercial properties along the frontage. The motel today is already allowed to dedicate 2/3 of its units to extended stay, meaning 30 days or longer, and we do think that this directly addresses a critical community need for affordable housing. Also, the renovations as part of this proposal are limited to the inside of the building. So with that, we are recommending approval subject to 2 conditions. First one is for their necessary building permits, and that does include the change of occupancy. And then number 2 is for any exterior lighting needing to be shielded downwards. Do you guys have any questions?
Austin, can you go back to the page where it shows there you go, right there. So that light purple is general commercial. The darker purple is?
CG/CH, general heavy commercial. And I think really there should be a correction on this. I forgot that doesn't work. Village East, up towards the top left of the zoning photo, that is currently under the PD now as well, as of last year.
Do y'all have any other questions for Austin? Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Ray, I think we'd like to open up public comment.
We have Mark Davis first.
Is the applicant here, by the way, Ray?
I think at least a representative was supposed to be here. I'm not sure though.
Okay.
I am Mark Davis. I'm the Executive Director of Village East Retirement Community, and I've been there since its inception. I'm here basically to, on behalf of all the residents, of which we have quite a few here in the room with us. He's correct in that top left-hand corner should be PD, because we went through all this fun not just too terribly long ago. But if you'll notice, it's basically totally surrounded by us, with the exception of the wharf, which is at 2302 at the bottom right. So basically, we have created, 30 years ago, we chose this area so that we could provide a basic, safe environment for a retirement community. These homes are all upper-level homes, and much like Jennifer said on hers, if this were your home and you lived in this area, would you want an apartment complex next to you, as well as all the traffic and everything that comes with it? Jack Bates is the only street that, far as beyond Sol Ross, both of those come into the access road. The one off of Jack Bates does allow them to jump up onto Loop 306. So anyway, we know that we're just going to generate more and more traffic, even though the radius that's required for the notice does not include Village East Circle, which is in that top left-hand corner, doesn't include a portion of Village Park Drive or a portion of Village Trail, but they're all equally affected by this. Our recommendation as a community is that this be denied. Thank you.
Dawn Horner?
My name is Don Horner. I live at 4046 Village Park Drive, which is a residence inside Village East Retirement Community. My residence is included in the 200-foot boundaries surrounding this property that's the subject of the hearing. To me, the basic appeal of living in a retirement community is to have a place that provides a quiet, calm, relaxed, safe place for seniors to live. I think that apartment house next door seems to potentially violate every one of these conditions. Not all of the residences in Village East are within this 200-foot distance from that property that is the subject of this hearing. However, I believe that everyone that lives there, in the residence there, will be adversely affected by the requested zone change. Personally, the biggest objection to the change in zoning would be the additional traffic that would result from a residency type business rather than the current hotel. Due to the very nature of a retirement community, most of us suffer from diminished hearing, diminished eyesight, and diminished mobility. And a large part of our walking is a large part of, and very important to most of the people that live in Village East. Since getting to the different phases of the Village East require crossing Sol Ross and or Jack Bates Drive, additional traffic would definitely be putting all the residents at greater risk. Even going down to the office/clubhouse requires all the residents of Phase 1 and Phase 2 to cross these already busy streets. Adding traffic and traffic noise would definitely lower the quality of life for myself and my wife, and I believe all the residents of Village East. I am in no way demeaning apartment houses or people that live there. I am saying that a large number of young people that would live in apartments, have children, work at shift work that necessitates coming and going at all hours, and in general have a very active lifestyle that generates way more noise and chaos than older people desire to endure. In researching the history of zoning, it appears that two of the main tenets for zoning are protect property values and to protect quality of life. And it is my opinion that having an apartment house just across the street could very likely adversely affect both of these tenets. I know for sure if the property in question was an apartment house when I was considering moving there, I definitely would have thought long and hard about moving there. One of the main reasons for moving there was so my wife would have a safe place to live after I'm gone. I do not think that that reason is unique because we've got 106 houses there, and even though they're all full, there's only about 130 residents. That means that most of the people that live there are single, and most of those are widows. I realize that safety for adults, Village East was built to improve the quality of life for senior citizens by providing affordable housing. Any change would detract from that and affect the residents and the village. We have zoning regulations for a reason, and I respectfully request that the current regulations relative to this property be maintained as they are.
Thank you for your comment.
Do I ask for questions?
I have a question on, and maybe some of the other residents can answer too. I know it's currently being used as a hotel. Are you having any issues right now with it currently being used as a hotel with noise and traffic and?
Okay,
and
let me make a comment about that. And all I can comment on is my observation. I have a straight line of sight into the hotel. And some here may have a different idea, but what I observe is that most of the traffic to the hotel comes in and exit back to the loop. They don't come through there. Now, they may, as they're staying there, they may come through there some, but the main deal, they're travelers, that or they're people that are staying there temporarily while they're working in town. Most of them come in, park there, and go inside, back and leave. They're not living there. They're not out walking, they're not out with their kids playing. They're not doing those things. But I see if we have residents living, the residents that live there, what I see is that most of us exit down Jack Bates or Sul Ross back into town. And I think if there's residents there, they would come more nearly following that same pattern, and thereby all that traffic, them would travel right through the middle of Village East. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Jennifer Cooper?
My name is Jennifer Cooper, and I do live in Phase 1, which is across the street from that green circled area. But I am just as concerned as the other residents about this potential change. We moved here 8 years ago, and we looked hard and long before moving to San Angelo and found this wonderful place. And it's a nice, quiet place, like Don said, with lots of single ladies living there. We walk all around that neighborhood. I feel safe to walk. Even when it's getting dark, I don't feel very threatened by that community. I feel like adding that many more people that live there, renting a unit. You can say what you want, but apartment living is different than home ownership. I've talked to many of our residents, and they're concerned. A lot of them don't email, and they are concerned about this, but aren't really public speakers either, and are not just going to speak out on it like this. I just heard that parking might be allowed on both sides of the street at Jack Bates, and that's a lot more traffic and causes a lot more visibility issues there. The hotel, when we moved here 8 years ago, was a different hotel than it is today. It has deteriorated, but it's still better than having the density of people that would be there in apartment living. The traffic day and night would no doubt increase a lot. So thanks for your consideration.
Thank you.
Mary Coffey?
Hi, Mary Coffey. I'm council member for SMD 6. This property butts right up into my district, so we all kind of spill over a little bit. I am opposed to this redrawing of changing the ordinance on this, or the ruling. There is, while there may be some sidewalks, it's very limited, but that's going to cause a lot of sidewalk congestion. I worry about the crosswalk, on how the pressure there, we've just got that many more bodies. With everyone in those Village East, they're all retired. That brings up pedestrian vulnerability when you've got mobility scooters, anything like that, and they'll go back and forth to the wharf, or they're really pretty centered there. What concerns me, I guess, maybe the most is the police and fire traffic. That if something happens in there, when you've got parking on either side of the street, it's a very narrow street to begin with, but if that's going to impede police or fire getting there to these people, that really interferes with the quality of life that they've worked so hard to achieve. There's going to be increased foot traffic. Like they were saying earlier, when you've got this people that are there just at the hotel, they're there, go to bed, get up, and they're out of there. when they're living, there's a convenience store right around the corner. It's a denser population there that is going to put our elderly, put them at risk, I do believe. I'm not sure what all the construction that would have to be done to these to get this up and running like they want as apartments. But the construction noise, operational noise, and doing that, I think that's going to infringe on the privacy there at Village East. And as far as noise goes, common sense will tell you there's going to be an elevated noise factor there. To me, it brings a lot of the same issues to this area like the short-term rentals do in other areas. I'm not sure how you could handle the parking overflow, but putting that there is really counterintuitive and not productive to what these people have put forth to be in Village East. Really, that's about it as far as that goes. It's just the added congestion and not being able to get to those people if there's a fire or if the police come. That just really puts them unnecessarily at risk. But thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
And then Alan Price.
My name is Alan Price. I'm the president of the board of directors of Village East Retirement Community. And probably most of you probably aren't familiar with who we are and what we do. We're a nonprofit corporation, very similar in the way we operate to Rio Concho West, and most of you are familiar with that. What we do is build custom homes. They're nice homes, and we have 106 of those homes at this point. We were formed for the purposes of providing affordable housing in a safe, supportive community atmosphere to people 55 years of age or older. And in that, what we do is, again, similar to Rio Concho. We sell these homes to the residents as a life estate. When that person moves out, we go back in, we refurbish it, and then we resell it. And we resell it at a discounted price. We could get much more for our homes than we do, but again, we're trying to provide affordable housing for those 55 or older. Most of what I was going to say has already been said, but one thing it's hard to picture in your mind unless you look at this and drive it. There's really only two ways in and out of Christian Village. One is at the Loop and Knickerbocker. You take the access road, you come to Nacho's right there, and we're right behind Nacho's. The other is to go through the middle of our facilities on to back to Sunset. And I think it's already been mentioned, most of the hotel traffic, we're pretty sure, uses the access road. They're coming in there, they're leaving to go to work or wherever they're going. A real concern that we have is with people living there, the natural tendency is to take that back road through the middle of our project. And again, as it's been mentioned, the people in a hotel are there to stay the night, get up and leave. Apartment living, you've got more families, you've got people outside, you've got all of that interaction as well. So again, we have real concern of what this is going to do to our residents, the people who not only live there, but own their homes there. Any questions?
I don't think so. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
That is all we have signed up. I'm not sure.
Is the applicant or a representative of the applicant here?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, if y'all would please state your name.
Nathan Boats. We are looking to deal with an affordable housing problem that the 2024 San Angelo study brought out on housing, and we were hoping to convert this hotel into apartment studios. And I would like to address some of the concerns that some of the neighborhood has had at this time. I've been a property manager for 17 years here in town, and basically some of the concerns that have been brought up are, let's call them like misnomers. The idea that apartment living equals crime is not true, especially on my properties, because I'm an owner-operator. I don't hand my apartments over to other people to manage. I do that myself. At trash, we pick up trash on a daily basis, because I do have other apartments in town that I've either managed or currently own and everything. And these are definitely concerns that I understand neighborhoods have that I am proactive in addressing. That we pick up trash on a daily basis, noise complaints and issues, any of that kind of stuff, I deal with immediately. There is, on my properties are quiet. I think that has, a lot of that has to do with the application process. I vet their criminal backgrounds, which is currently not being done at the hotel. You don't know who is moving in for a night or two at those hotels. They could have criminal backgrounds or extended stays. A lot of people that are in extended stays are, they're oftentimes denied apartment living in other places. And I check their financial backgrounds. A lot of my tenants do not have vehicles. About a third of them don't. So in terms of the traffic issues, a lot of them are on either bikes or walking. Because these are going to be apartment studios, it will not, these apartments will not be, suitable for families. And so because we will only be allowing 1 to 2 people in these units, we're not going to be having a lot of like family activities, because the property is not conducive to that. In terms of property values, I would think that having an apartment complex there is going to actually help to increase the property values, as opposed to having a hotel there, which is more historically known for having more police activity, because you don't have rules in place of how your tenants are supposed to behave themselves. Where with me, I have 8 pages of rules that they have to abide by. And we will be there having a daily presence on the property and overseeing a lot of the activities that go on there.
I have a question.
Do you have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Are you currently managing the Ramada, or used to be called the Ramada Inn, whatever the name of the hotel?
Roadway.
Yeah, no, we're in contract right now.
Okay.
So you're under contract to purchase it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You mentioned somebody on site, so there will be like a full-time, not working in the Nachos restaurant, but will there be a full-time person in the apartment office, or I guess what's now the hotel office?
Yes, we have plans to remodel that as well. All of the remodeling that we're going to be doing is on the interior, and making these more, more like homes as opposed to a hotel. We're not going to be touching the exterior part of it.
How many parking spaces are there right now versus units? Do we know? I meant to drive by this weekend, but I didn't hit it.
It's over 100. I don't have the exact number.
Yeah, that's something we would evaluate as part of the change of occupancy process.
Do we know what the percentage of I know you said 2/3 of the hotel is is open for long-term stay. What is that current percentage right now that's utilized?
I don't have those numbers.
I don't know the current percentage. I know that February to May is their busy time. Like they're capacity is pushing like 100% because of things like the rodeo, the stock show, the carnival, those kind of things. They all come to town during this time, so. I know for at least 4 months out of the year, according to the current owner, they are already kind of maxed out, as are many of the hotels in town.
I have several questions.
Sure.
You said you were going to make these more of a studio-type apartment. Can you better describe that? 1 bedroom, 1 bath, you're putting kitchen
Yes.
in, 2 bedroom, are you having different amounts of bedroom spaces?
These are going to be studio apartments for the most part. There are 2 that are going to be 1 bedrooms, and there is 1 2-bedroom, 2-bath on there as well. But the majority of these will be studio houses. We are going to be adding a kitchen on, a closet on, and redoing all the floors, the wall, the paint. You know, we're basically giving it a facelift on the inside to make this desirable for people to live in long term.
So they're basically not going to be large enough for someone that's got 3 kids?
No. I think the state of Texas allows 2 heartbeats per 1 bedroom as a general rule, as a standard. And that I've always operated based off of that, you know, in terms of whether I have a 1 bedroom or a 2 bedroom, and I don't allow anything else beyond that because it's not livable.
What are the other apartments that you manage?
Cliff House Apartments over by ASU, and then also Coberlin Apartments over by Shannon.
Are those considered, or is your rent for lower income? Because you mentioned some people don't have vehicles.
Yes, ma'am.
That makes me think lower income type persons that would apply to lease these?
Yes, those are also affordable. Those are affordable housing as well. So I do work with different agencies and meeting different needs that the community has.
So you see this being something that would be along the same lines as what you have already?
Yes and no. I think a big part of the population, because we like to find apartments that are near employers. 2 of the biggest employers in town are Shannon and ASU. And this one is actually near both of those as well, where I think we're only a mile or 2 from the university and maybe a half a mile from Shannon Hospital right now. So we would be appealing to a lot of, those kinds of tenants.
By the time you do some of your remodeling, you have 97 hotel rooms. How many units of these studios do you plan to have?
They're going to be I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Well, I guess I'm asking if this is going to continue to be a 97 unit apartment complex like it is a 97 unit hotel.
Yes, it is going to be it'll be an apartment complex, 97 unit apartment complex. We're not changing the structure of this.
Right. I knew you weren't changing the outside of it.
Yes, ma'am.
You said something about that you do right now in your other apartments, a criminal background check, credit check, maybe a rental history. I guess those would be done as well here.
Yes.
As you do them elsewhere.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah. No, I vet out my tenants, the applicants that come in. It's important to me because, the better quality of tenant that I get into my apartments, the more that I know that things are going to go better, because I try to bring people that have, common sense. If they have a criminal background, they're not allowed. I mean, we do have a limitation. We go back 3 years where they can't be in any kind of, any kind of criminal activity or jail or probation. Nobody on probation is allowed into my apartments, or parole. No, we look for quiet tenants that that follow the rules. And that's part of the vetting process, is I also get a residential history on them to see how they've operated in other, kinds of environments with other property managers to make sure that, that they are following the rules. So I see this as an improvement to the neighborhood because it's more structured. There's more rules in place. It's overseen better, and as opposed to the way it is now, you don't know who's coming into the hotel. You don't have to be vetted for that. You just have to pay money,
Did you seek out the current owners into converting this, or do you know if the current owners are looking to sell, or do you understand what I'm asking, I guess? Like, did you seek them out, or are they looking for getting out of this business?
They're looking to get out.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're wanting to get into, I'm not sure, another business. They're wanting to take this money and go into another business.
Understood. And would you still be an owner-operator of the restaurant there? Or would you lease that out? Do you know, would that be converted at a later time?
No,
Okay.
no, we love nachos.
Okay.
Nachos is gonna stay, yeah.
Good.
No, Simon, that's gonna stay. We're gonna continue to rent it out to him. I think he's been there over 20 years or something like that, so the people that come to eat at Nachos he's not dependent on the hotel. He has an established name in San Angelo and everything, so.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay, thank y'all.
Okay.
Ray, do you have more public comment?
I do not.
Okay.
I do want to make sure the board, oh, never mind, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Can I do a public comment?
Yes, go ahead.
So I'm a tech business owner here in town.
Can you tell us who you are?
Yes, please. Your name and either address or single member district.
My name is Simeon McCullough, 1815 West Concho, and I own a couple of businesses in town. One of them is a remodeling company that we're going to be doing the work on the project here. But I'm also a tech business owner, and Rishi Patel, the current owner of the Roadway Inn, is the one that came to me saying that he was interested in potentially selling this. So I've known Caleb and Nathan for a long time as individuals who are owner-operators of apartment complexes, and they do a really good job of keeping it affordable, which we have the study that came out saying that we have a literal crisis for affordable housing. And when Rishi Patel told me this, it came up in conversation around the same time that we were talking about bad actors in the neighborhood. So one of the big things that the community was concerned about, which I appreciate them all coming out here, and one of the big things that they were concerned about is, just people that they don't know may be coming into the neighborhood, trashy people. One of the bigger things that I'm concerned about for their community is that they are in the demographic of 55 and up. That's the same demographic of people that are often scammed. And the reason that I say that is because I'm a member of a nonprofit organization here in town called the Concho Valley Tech Association. And one of our big concerns is the cybersecurity attacks. Hotels are notoriously known for actually being one of the main point of contacts for outside sources coming in, getting in close proximity to you, getting onto a Wi-Fi network, and then taking advantage of individuals. So not only are we giving this into credible hands of people who are owner-operators of apartment complexes here in San Angelo, but all the money on the project is going back into the community. All of it's going to be recirculating within ourselves. My company that does the remodeling, we use subcontractors, and for anything that we don't do ourselves, it's all local, all locally owned, and we don't want to bring poor neighbors into your neighborhood. We actually want to benefit it. And that's all I had to say.
Thank you. Okay, we'll close public comment.
And just a reminder that this is a conditional use, not a rezone, so you are the final authority with the appeals going to city council.
Thank you. I think let us talk for a moment, and then maybe if we have more questions for the public. Right. Okay, I'll give you my thoughts. We do need this kind of housing in San Angelo. We need this affordability. It worries me because of all the public opposition. What also worries me is, as a business owner, the hotel industry is hard. So eventually, there's going to have to be a lot of money put into this property, whether that be to convert it into an apartment or keep it as a hotel. I do not know the owner or his situation, but I don't know that it would take a lot of money to put it back into a hotel. And so, if the restaurant is doing good, the owner could shut down the hotel and it could sit there vacant. And they'd make enough money off the restaurant. And then it just goes downhill. So I'm very torn with this one. That's
Well, I agree with you.
a lot of my comment.
Yeah, and I'm very aware, being in real estate, the need for affordable housing. I have a concern that we're talking about one-bedroom studio apartments, because if there's 97, you know what a hotel room size is, it's not large. He said there would be 1 2-bedroom, I believe is what he said. When you have a one-bedroom studio, you're still gonna have people in and out, I think. Because a couple is about all you could have in there, or individuals. And it is close to ASU, and you could have students that family wants them to have something that they could afford to rent like that rather than be on campus. But I don't think you'll see a lot of children as small as these are going to be. That had been a concern of mine. Where were the kids going to play? There's nowhere outside. So I don't think the one-bedroom studios are going to really attract anyone with children. I understand that affordability is the key here in trying to make this an apartment complex. But I understand how long Village East has been a senior complex. We all know it's just like Baptist Memorial has their set and Rio Concho has their set. Village East has theirs. And it's been there a long time. And I've been in this business a long time. And I remember when the church that began this started these thought processes about senior living at an affordable price. And I know the process over there a little bit. I've visited with Mark a couple of times and over the years, and they keep at least a year waiting list. That's how many seniors are wanting such a living community. It's been there a long time, since the early 80s, I believe, is when some of the first construction started. I hate to see a senior living community, which is gorgeous homes. If you've not been in them, they're well redone if new flooring if necessary, whatever, when someone moves out or passes away as the property comes back to the corporation. I just hate to see what could be a situation that we would create that would be a negative to the senior side of things. So I guess I'm saying I'm not for this, though I love the idea of the affordable. I think one-bedroom studios are going to attract a different type of clientele. It's not really an apartment complex that has 2 bedrooms where you have children or things like that. It's just going to be a different
Do you think, sorry.
set. No, go ahead.
Do you think they would attract some lower income senior housing?
No. Not as much as you think. A lot of seniors don't have that monthly income. I don't know what the price of this is going to be.
It's got to be cheap because it's small.
It is small, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of money, and is going to go into this based on some of the information the the gentleman that spoke first, he's going to put a lot of money in here and into the insides. But he's got to put kitchens in. He's going to have to put some closet or somewhere, you know, a lot of money. And it's evidently going to stay right here in San Angelo, and I love that. I hate to be negative about this type of property. I think we need it. I just hate where it's at.
I agree with you. And I think with the opposition that has come into play, I know that there is at least a year, from my understanding, wait list.
Yes.
Which is bringing more people in to retire in San Angelo. I second what she said is, I think it's a great idea, just not in the right spot.
And I'll kind of tag on to that. I think initially when I saw this request, I thought, and I've heard this from one of the residents, I thought, you know, that hotel has definitely deteriorated from the outside perspective. I initially thought, well, this will be great, an ability to revamp that. And in my mind, initially, I thought, well, I don't know if I would rather live by a hotel or an apartment, because the hotel, you know, you have the transient people coming in on a daily basis. But after listening to the concerns of all the residents, I do see, you know, apartments, your residents are there all day, every day. They're, you know, it's not like a hotel that you go to sleep, like Mr. Price said, you go for the night and then you're gone and you're exiting on Loop 306. So again, like Lyndon and Candy have both said, I do think there's a need. I think that property is in need of some love and care, but I just can't ignore the concerns of all of you residents today.
No, I guess I have a question. If this doesn't get approved, what is the size of this lot?
I believe it was over 3 acres.
Okay, so there's other options that the applicant could come back and still try and do this via a PD, via rezoning, via all these other things.
So I will remind you, 2/3 of the units today can be used for extended stay.
Right, and that's 2/3 of the hotel?
Correct.
Okay.
And this is also, 2/3 of the units today can be used for extended stay, defined as longer than 30 days.
So
In our
2/3
eyes,
of the
pretty much household
apartment,
living.
60 units can be long-term right now?
That is correct, under our zoning ordinance.
Up to 30 days.
Over 30 days.
Over 30 days.
Right.
And what percentage of those are?
That's what I was asking. I don't think we had an answer.
Right now, I don't have those figures, and that probably fluctuates based on the kind of business they have. This is a conditional use, so you have the ability to add or remove conditions as well.
But also, if we were to deny it, the applicant then has the opportunity to appeal it to city council.
Correct.
Is this property currently on the market?
No.
Not that I know.
No.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't think so.
No? Do you mind? No? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I would also like to say, just to remind you guys that a conditional use is, you can put conditions on it, it can be revoked if something happens. If they try to come back for a rezone, there's no conditions, there's no, unless they do a PD.
The revocation of a conditional use, Ray, how does that work? Is that via like police reports, and is it kind of like a STR, or how does that?
So it would more be, we would have to look at the complaints, the police reports, and staff would bring it back to planning commission.
Right.
And that's a lot of money to put into a property for a conditional use, that in the event that there's issues, I mean, I would hate that as an owner to have this, you know, property that I've invested millions in, and then later to have the purpose of it be revoked.
But just to clarify, so I wrap my head around it, right now, 2/3 can be used as long-term housing. So
Yes.
they could still put $600,000 into this place right now and have 60 residents.
Correct,
And
and
there's nothing that anybody can do about it, correct?
That is correct, under our current zoning ordinance, and so that's why put some time constraints on the conditional use to have them come back, or we could use our discretion to revoke it if something goes wrong, but they could start doing work on it right now for those 2/3 of units.
So you're essentially looking at 30 units. And the roads around there are public roads. One of them's a minor collector. They all have parking on both sides and built to standards. So there have been many cases, including one for the Village East that came through and the sidewalks were waived. So, we have some other things to consider, but here on this property, it's already built out. It's not going to change. We're just looking at an interior remodel and converting it from a transient stay, which you don't know who's coming in, to a more permanent stay. So somebody mentioned about short-term rentals. Well, this literally is a short-term rental today, and allowed by right. And they're looking at changing that to a longer-term rental.
I would make a motion to approve. Because we're only adding 30 units. They're already allowed 60. They've already learned that they can have 60. If it goes bad and there's lots of opposition, then they come back to us, it's revoked, those 30 units go away, they still keep their 60. But it's not a good situation, I agree. If I could choose an area for this to be, this is not the area I would choose. But also, if I owned the property, I would be looking at other ways to make money. I would also look at that housing study and realize that we need affordability and attainability. I agree. I don't think it's the right area, but I think that we should allow them to try it. And at worst case scenario, it doesn't work. They've sunk $1 million into this property, and it has to go back to a hotel, and you get a better hotel out of it. But regardless, they're putting a lot of money in this property, which I think will ultimately be good for the residents. And yeah.
Good for the senior residents that are around it? Is that what you're saying?
Value-wise, yes.
See, I don't see that myself personally. If the outside is not going to be changed any, only the inside, it's still going to look the same on the outside unless it's refurbished in some way. It's a hard decision to make, but you've got 106 senior homes with maintained yards and streets and right there. And to put something in the middle of them, and this basically is in the middle of them because you've got some on Sul Ross here, some on the other side of Sul Ross over here behind it. It just doesn't fit to me.
I agree. I represent this district, and with all of the opposition that's being presented, I have a hard time agreeing to approve.
You'll have a second motion?
I'll make a second motion to deny.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any other comment? If no comment, in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nay. Motion passes 4-1. Or the motion to deny passes 4-1. I'm sorry.
I was going,
the motion passed. Correct. Okay, so we'll move on to the planning director's report. Aaron?
Good morning, Commission. Aaron Vanoy, Planning and Development Services Director. So I've got a couple of things in our director's report that we've been working on and been working with the Development Task Force. One of them is a discussion about what we commonly call double frontage lots. This is the second highest variance that we have that goes to our Zoning Board of Adjustment. And we would like to try to alleviate that, because if you start seeing that many variances coming forward, that means and getting approved, that means your zoning ordinance is not reflecting what your community wants. And so this comes in under section 501, under the residential standards, item K. It requires 2 25-foot front yard setbacks to adjacent streets in residential areas if there's no alleyway behind the lots. And I'll have an image in just a moment to show you that. But I think most of y'all have seen when we have discussion of plats, what a double frontage is, and we'll just kind of demonstrate that here in just a second. So the proposal is to change the verbiage to allow the standard zoning district, and I said to allow the standard zoning district front yard setback, because each of our zoning districts does, it's not always 25 feet. There could be times that it's a 15-foot or a 20-foot, and so we want to make sure that that's clear, that all because this implies only certain zoning at 25 feet. We want to make sure it's clear. So that depending on the zoning district could be 15 to 25 feet, that being in the front yard. And that would be the other side yard adjacent to the street would be a standard of a 10-foot setback instead of something else. Because that takes into account a standard 5-foot right-of-way on a local street. So you're really 15 feet back from the back of curb, if you will, for the structure. So that actually gives a pretty good setback, where if you're on a regular home, your setback on side yards are 5 feet on either side. This gives just an additional 5 feet as opposed to the 25 feet. We would say that, okay, at that point where there's no variances allowed except if the right-of-way is more than 10 feet. So on some streets, we know that we have an excessive amount of right-of-way. Well, our goal is to try to get houses, pretty standard, and so that as we start looking at those smaller lot sizes, they can still squeeze them in. So if you got excessive right-of-way that's more than 10 feet on the side yard on that adjacent street, then it would be considered for a variance. So let me give you an illustration here. So you see the ones on the left. You can see that there are 3 double frontage lots there on that little street that kind of curves in there. And you can see, if you look at the adjacent lots, how that lot's bigger. Well, they're trying to take into account for that 25-foot double frontage. So they're eating up 25 feet of that property. And so while it's going to be a bigger property, it's also on the corner. You could have a side entrance or something like that, but it's a lot more property to maintain. And in certain neighborhoods, that's fine. We're just saying we would like to see, because we see variances on those, how do we get that to be a little more consistent throughout our community? So if you can envision, well, that would really just make that a little bit, that lot could be smaller if the developer chose to at the point of platting. I took an image over here off of, I think this is maybe Harris Street or Prizer. I'm not exactly remember what that minor arterial is that goes east-west. And I'm going to see if this actually works for me. See, it does for just a moment, then it goes away, but that's okay. But you can see the red outline of the property lines. There's excessive right-of-way. And so if you look at any one of those houses on any of the corners, many of them are built right up to the right-of-way. Well, if they were to go away due to some reason, somebody wants to buy them, redevelop those lots, they want to reorient some lots, it would be a big struggle to say, all right, you've got 25 feet and 25 feet. Or even if let's just say, well, you've got 10 feet here, but your right-of-way looks like it's 20 feet. So how do we work with them to make sure that we can get them the right-of-way distance? So I'm going to go back to this. I have not written it into ordinance language yet. This is just kind of the bullet points. I think Ray sent y'all kind of the ordinance information and maybe my bullet points below there. So I'm going to ask the vice chair if you have any questions, or if your team has any questions on just this particular item at this time.
Seen all of the requests on zoning, and I do think that the verbiage needs to be more or addressed.
Standard, okay.
So I think this would be a great benefit for all of the boards and for builders and people moving forward.
Okay. We know we'll have the final, what we would call red line, the ordinance language that would modify what's currently there. Here's the red lettering of what we would propose that would come back to this board. It would also go back in front of the Development Task Force one further time in March. So we're moving it forward that way to see if there's any kinds of tweaks or anything like that that needs to be done so that we can move it forward. The next item is just a discussion on sidewalks. This actually comes out of our land development and subdivision ordinance. There's been a lot of discussion over the last, I would say, 5 years when the sidewalk section came in. The purpose for it is to continue to add sidewalks for safety in critical areas of development, commercial and residential. But the other areas of why we're looking at this is to reduce the number of waivers being requested. We've had over 100 waivers requested for sidewalks, and 99% of those are approved. And if that's the case, then we need to look at these things and say, all right, what is it that we're trying to do? Now, we also have to look at it through the lens of where these lots and waivers are coming from. A lot of them are coming from our infill area and affordable housing. And so to put the same restrictions on a brand new development versus an infill development, it's very difficult. Now, we don't have any of that language here, and we're not proposing any of that language here, but what we have seen is when there's infill that's very close to a commercial development or a church, rarely are there actual sidewalks anywhere in existence, and sometimes we're talking about one lot, and that's really restricting what they can do on that lot. Now, if they're in the infill, they also get infill money, and that was the original idea of infill money, was to pay for those types of things. However, what we've learned is that lot prices have gotten very high in those areas, as well as materials, labor, all of those things. That really is just trying to supplement what a developer can do, or maybe they can use that money as a down payment on the next project. So we're looking at striking the commercial districts and the churches and trying to put some kind of language in there that talks about, and this is just what we have sampled right now, is direct path along a budding street right of way from the property being developed. I do think, and I've seen this in other ordinances, we need to have some illustrations of what does that really mean, because to each person that reads that, they may say that means something different to me. While this is not the best illustration, but that's McGill Elementary there at the bottom. And so, and I forgot what that top road was, but if you're looking at the top road, it would be a direct path going from the school to the right, or the direct path. It wouldn't be on both sides of the street, it would be on one side of the street, and maybe we need to add that language in there. But it's basically trying to say, if we're going to have a path to a school, we know we can't afford it necessarily on both sides, let's go ahead and let's make sure we have it on one side of the block that's directly adjacent, in the straight line going to the school. So I'm not sure that we're hitting the language correctly quite yet, so if there's any suggestions on that, that would be much appreciated. This was a park that I found over off of Bell Street, and I tried to illustrate where would the sidewalks be. And of course, you can see there's some undeveloped land there. At some point, that would be the idea, is that's how we're trying to get people from the neighborhood to get to, and of course, I think that's Pulliam there at the south. How do you get people to the park if they lived in the area and wanted to go to the park? With that, are there any questions on the sidewalk piece?
I love the idea of sidewalks, but from a developer standpoint, it's not cost effective.
Yeah.
It's just not. Even in areas where you have higher priced lots, it's just not effective. So I like the idea of having more of them. It really has to be a conversation with the city and the developers to try and work through some of that cost. Because especially on an infill, it doesn't make sense to have an extra $5,000 worth of sidewalk cost on a $220,000 house. Your sidewalk in your driveway is, a tenth of your house price. That's not okay, but.
I agree. I think it depends on the location.
It does. And I like the idea of having some illustrations in our ordinance. I think with this and with the new zonings that we're talking about and things like that, I think that would solve a lot of questions to city staff if, not that anybody's actually going to look, they're going to call you anyways, but the two people that would look, it would be very nice for them to see an illustration versus just words. So I think whatever we're proposing for anything going forward, it needs to have examples. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, the last thing that I have for our director's report is that we have worked through with the committee for the consulting firm for our comprehensive plan update. And so we're getting ready to move that forward, more than likely March the 17th at City Council to allow the city manager to engage in a contract negotiation with one of the consulting companies. And so we're very excited about that. And so what we anticipate is by April, early May, we're going to have a kickoff for our comprehensive plan for our community, and that's really, really important. So a lot of the decisions y'all are making today, those are all influenced by our comprehensive plan. And so those make a huge difference, and it really should be community-driven. It should be from the people in those neighborhoods saying, this is what we want for the future in our neighborhood, and the city and the consultants listening to them to try to put together what is our best plan for our community to move forward. So we're very excited about that. It's probably going to be at least a 12 to 16 to 18 month long process to do that, and to have lots of town hall meetings and to listen to folks and to find out what actually works for our communities. What do we want? Again, I do believe the conversation of sidewalks will come up through those discussions. You heard a group today saying, well, we really would like sidewalks. There's no sidewalks. And so that's very interesting to say, all right, well, how do we do that as a community? Because the hard part is for us to say, well, you got to do it in one place and not the other. It should be equitable for all in some way. And so we want to make sure that we can try to find ways to do that. But we also understand that if we want to continue to grow, everything costs money. And so how do we affect that bottom line? How do we improve certain things within our core so that maybe maybe there's additional grants that we can go and seek. And all that's part of that comprehensive plan type of stuff. So very excited about that. Very excited about how we're trying to move forward. And very excited that we have a great spring and a lot of development stuff coming towards you. So
my comment on that is, I think we should throw some money at getting the public involved and not as much money at consulting.
Well, there's a lot of money for the public to be involved.
There's going to be a lot of money thrown at consulting, but I
Yes.
think that we should throw some money at making sure that the public is involved, whether that be.
They have a great plan for that, from
Okay.
all the way to the very, very tech savvy to all the way to the pen and paper and putting dots on things and sitting down and talking.
Okay.
So I'm very excited about that. And the main reason that we utilize a consultant because we don't have enough staff people to manage it. I mean, we struggle to get good connectivity with citizens, even on our cases of what are the citizens around. If they don't send us a mailer back, we just really don't know what they are thinking about this proposal. And so that's the main reason why we have a consultant help us with that. But you'll see all of our pretty faces out there trying to help them as much as we can, trying to interact with our community, trying to find out what neighborhoods want what, and move forward from there. So, good comment.
Thanks, Aaron. Okay, next up is the next regular meeting of the Planning Commission is scheduled to begin Monday, March 16th, 2026 at 9 a.m. at the East Mezzanine City Hall at 72 West College Avenue.
And with that is during spring break. So how are we doing? How is it looking schedule-wise? Is everybody?
The following Monday is a school holiday as well.
Oh, is it?
The following Monday after spring break?
Yeah, Monday, the 23rd.
Good to know.
So they kind of.
Okay.
What is March 23rd?
Well, are we good for quorum?
I will be out the 23rd, but I'll be here the 16th.
I can be here the 16th.
The first Monday of spring break?
Yes.
I don't think I'm here.
I'm kind of up in the air, but I'm likely here the 6th. Actually, I'm likely here the 23rd, but I don't know for a fact.
I would be here the 23rd because I didn't realize I was in school. I won't be here on the 16th. I think we're do what? Oh, I thought he was making it.
Well, it is important for us because we then have to figure out how we get things noticed correctly.
Correct.
As well as for our city council meetings, how are they going to line up with the proper notice and things like that. So the sooner we know, I know we do have one alternate.
We do have one alternate,
I'll be here the 23rd.
and we may have a new member.
Was Brittany out the 16th or the 23rd? Do y'all remember what she said?
The 16th for sure.
16th? Okay.
Oh,
I'll be here the 23rd.
I can do either one.
And you do the 23rd?
I can do the 23rd.
I will be in Nebraska.
But Brittany will be here, right?
She will be here, yes.
Yes.
So that works.
So the 23rd?
23rd.
Okay, the next regular meeting will be scheduled Monday, March 23rd, 2026, at 9 a.m. in the East Mezzanine City Hall at 72 West College Avenue. In that, do we have a motion to?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.